welcome to the Women of BSB. We are thrilled and very merry to have many superstar guests and guest hosts with us today as we look back on the year of 2021. So, all the way from China is our special guest host today, Miss Lise Lee. Welcome, Lise.
Hi, everyone. This is Lise saying hi from Shanghai, China. It's actually 2 a.m., so I just took a nap. So it's very early. It's a new day, and I'm happy to be here. As you know, it's always been very busy working for BA and also for everyone in BSV ecosystem. So we had a lot of things happening in China this year. As you can see from my Twitter, it's a window for all the people all over the world to see what's happening in China, how BSV developing in China. But I know most people always tell me that they are quite interested in those big events happening in China. Like in this April, we organized a BSV developers bootcamp in China. We like 50 developers we gathered on a resort in a very beautiful island, and we spent 1 week to learn together. And last month we organized a big conference, BSV DevCon in Shanghai. We got over, I remember it's over 230K viewers for those 2-day events, online viewers, and also over 200 physical attendees. It's very, it's in, before the conference, I thought it's impossible to organize that big event during the pandemic, but it happened. So I think everything went very well. And some people may know that I'm not only working for BA as a consultant. I established my own company this year. So for me, it's like super, super busy. It's a big challenge for doing
Bravo.
all those work and running a company and manage my team. So, but I still think BSV got a bright future, and I have a lot of faith in the future. And a big thank to Kurt, our Santa. This week I watched like over 10 hours of your show for the case. I am just about to tip you on Handycash.
Well, yes, thank you.
You got my tip. Because today, not tomorrow, because it's 2 a.m. Today, I will give a public speech about Craig's case. And also, I'm so happy for Craig. I'm so happy for all the people, all those pioneers, all those contributors in this ecosystem. So let's look forward to the next year.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Lise. I received your tip. Thank you.
Wow, is that through Handcash?
Yes.
It's our local yuan, so it may not be very
That's okay. It was in US dollars, it was $15.70. So
yeah.
Quite a nice tip. I appreciate it.
Very generous. And Lise, could you teach us a little?
Boss now.
What do you mean now?
Yeah, for always. And can you teach us how to say BSV blockchain in Chinese?
BSV 区块链。
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 区块链。Is that right?
Nice.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. And how can people follow you on Twitter? You mentioned that it's like a window to your updates in China.
It's my Twitter account is Lise0508. So now you know my birthday. It's May the 8th. I'm waiting for your tips. my handle is Lise. Okay, my handle is Lise.
I was going to say you should share yours as well so we can give our gratitude for all your hard work over in China. So.
Yes, please. And Lise, what are some other folks that we can follow to learn more about developments in China?
I think most Chinese BSV projects they had their own Twitter accounts, and I usually retweet their news, their new products. So you can follow some very popular projects such as Make ID, which is a decentralized identification protocol, and a lot of products has been developed using this protocol, and also Dot Wallet, a consumer wallet that has integrated a lot of apps in their wallet. And also some other games or some other projects very interesting. I'm looking forward to more new products coming out next year.
Excellent. Well, we thank you so much, Lise, for the update. And also, we're very inspired watching you throughout the year. So well done on the founding of your business and all of the things that you've produced throughout the year. So we're cheering for you.
Thank you.
Yes, and another great connector and mover and shaker in the BSV world is Robin DeLisser. Yes, she is hailing from beautiful, sunny Miami, right? Is that right?
I actually live up in Palm Beach County, but it's kind of one big metropolitan area. So yeah, Kurt recently moved to the area. So he and I and Luke from Tonic Pow and Zachary Weiner from VX Pass actually all live very near each other. So we're going to create a blockchain Bitcoin hub here and provide a lot of education and communication and maybe incubate some companies.
Super cool. And please tell us about how you discovered the genuine Bitcoin. What has your journey been?
So I've been certainly interested and fascinated with the concept of Bitcoin since the white paper. Didn't really dive in to learn too much about it until years later. I've been a tech and executive recruiter for a very long time. So I'm super involved in the community as far as setting up TEDx conferences, all different types of educational types of things in the community to strengthen the ecosystem. So I decided to add Bitcoin to my business in the sense that I could take smart contracts and take crypto as payment. And so when I did, I decided to kind of do a deep dive and go to all these conferences and just really educate myself. So I did not go there and promote myself or my business. I went there and I figured out who the smartest players were and what the really meaningful work was. And then I created this inner circle of people. And by like 3 months of doing that conference circuit, I actually threw together a little mini conference in Miami, and which everybody told me was impossible because it was done in 3 weeks. And I keynoted with Brock Pierce and Jeremy Gardner and created a little ecosystem in Miami. We actually created a Miami Blockchain Week during that event. And then shortly thereafter, I read this article that a guy had died, and the guy's father received an email and said, no matter what, from a guy in London, and it said, no matter what you do not lose your son's hard drive. He was one of the 3 people that helped create Bitcoin. And so I'm fascinated by this, and I'm reading this article, and it's in my backyard. I'm like, what are the chances? I've been all around the world at these conferences, right? And just absorbing information. And here's this fascinating thing right in my backyard in Palm Beach County. So in Miami. So I did a deep dive of research, and I didn't know anything about BSV. I didn't know the crypto Twitter or the whole fight and anything. I just did a really deep dive, and it was literally like you peeled one onion layer and the other one was there. And it was like, okay, if this is true, then this will be true. And it just added up perfectly. And I took notebooks of information, and then I eventually went and I determined that Craig was Satoshi beyond a shadow of a doubt. It was like Occam's razor. And then I went and sat in on the court hearing when Shatters, the CTO of InChain, testified here in Palm Beach County at the federal court. And so I've been following it very closely ever since. And I went to CoinGeek London, and then I went to CoinGeek Zurich, and Jimmy and everybody finally came to Miami and had some events here locally. And we're building the community, certainly through Kurt and the people I mentioned. So that's it. That's my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Well, we have been seeing you on LinkedIn and Twitter for years now. So it's really wonderful to see you in person and get to know you more and more.
Likewise. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And so I know that Diddy has prepared many wonderful treats and gifts for this episode. I wonder if you might have an in here with Santa Claus Kurt and maybe give an interview with Kurt.
Are you asking me or Diddy?
Diddy, yes, Diddy and Robin, of course, because you two are collaborating on many projects.
Yeah, Robin and I had lunch yesterday, so we are so close now as neighbors that we get to say, "Hey, should we do lunch?" and we just go do that. So
and geek out for a long time.
Yeah, I think we went like 2 hours. We had people showing up like, "Hey, where are you guys at?" And so it was started as 2 and turned into 4, and we're doing Bitcoin stuff over lunch. So it's
really cool Bitcoin stuff.
Yes.
That Miami life sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's beautiful. It's 80 degrees outside. I went out, took the motorcycle out a little while ago. It's a beautiful day. It's t-shirt and shorts.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Cold in here.
We've got rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the postman just come and give you a present.
Kurt, tell us about the court case. Tell us how it all went in your mind, and what whether you think it was the result that everybody wanted.
I don't know about the result everybody wanted. I think it was ultimately a good result. Could have been a bad result. It would be a bad thing if Craig had to pay billions of dollars out. That would be money better spent in the BSV ecosystem, in my opinion. But ultimately, he was excited. It was a big sigh of relief with the verdict from him. His attorneys were standing up, shaking hands, like it was a victory dance, even with, what's ultimately $100 million that he needs to pay. They're like, everyone was very happy. I think amid the trial, just sitting there, it was 5 days a week for essentially 5 weeks. So there were a couple of short weeks for like holidays and things too, but it was just a grind. It was a brutal grind. I had to be up
grueling, yeah.
And
what made it so grueling? Was it like the monotony of the cross questioning, or the hours, or was your bum going numb on the seats? What was it?
All of the above. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, that's what makes something grueling, is that it's, okay, it's like, I'd feel better if I could go have a decent lunch, but it was like lunch was too short. There's no food around, so you have to pack a lunch, and then so then you're eating like a monotonous lunch every day, and amid that, then you're fighting to get back to your seat because there's too many people, because it's a big case. And I couldn't get a journalist pass because I'm not like part of what's essentially the journalists union to get in the door and get official. So I didn't have any electronics. So I had to be taking notes on a notebook by, pen and paper, which is not something I do often. So the first few days, my hand was like ready to fall off. And then ultimately I gained my high school calluses back by the end of the case. But there's also, it's not like you have a desk. So I basically, I'm like writing on my lap, or I'm like leaning forward and like writing on the pew in front of me, kind of. And it's like, I realize like 3 or 4 days in, I've got like lower back pain. I wake up every day and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And I realized it's my posture as I'm trying to take notes the whole time. And then I had to be up at 7 a.m. every day because we had to be, first of all, I had to be dressed well for court. We had pre-game meetings. So I was meeting with the other people with the media team. I was having breakfast with Pat Thompson and a couple other people every morning. And then it was work, get to court, grind all day. The second we get out, I had to sprint back to do my live stream, like during rush hour, back to the hotel. I would do my live stream for an hour. Then it was another PR meeting, media meetings, and whatever. I'd have dinner at like 9:30 or 10 p.m. every day. And then just like, so it had to be a light dinner because I needed to go right to sleep, and I'd pass out and then wake back up again. So it's like I had no free time. I didn't watch one moment of TV or read a book for myself, nothing. So it was just like, it was like being in a bubble for 6 weeks. And it's like, I got sick right after, like the day we were done. I'm like, oh, I just feel, I got a cold, and I'm all I'm still like, really, I don't feel like myself yet. I really haven't recovered because it's just like, now I'm playing catch up with all of my regular duties too. You know, like, hey, Kurt, you haven't written an article in 6 weeks. Can we, get some stuff done before Christmas? You know, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, you slacker. Get on it.
Yeah.
That sounds brutal. That sounds absolutely brutal. But we were absolutely gripped to your live streams and waiting for them to, with bated breath. And we loved the interplay between you and Patrick, and also the lawyer, whose name I can never remember. What was his name?
Peter Tragos or Tragos.
I thought he was terrific. It was so nice to get like an independent perspective outside of the BSV sphere, wasn't it?
Sure.
And interesting that really he saw it pretty much the same way you did. So I thought it was quite a good sort of support of your.
And it turned out the way we called it too. A lot of people are saying, this Peter guy doesn't understand. Like, he doesn't realize what a crook Craig is. It's like, oh, well, after week 1, this is what he said it was going to turn out, and he was right. And so it's interesting that the common person that doesn't have any context on all the Bitcoin politics is like, okay, well, here's the facts, and so here's how this is probably going to play out, and it just happens to be that way if you're not sucked into the Blockstream narrative.
and the thing that intrigued me most was there was a lot of coverage in the press afterwards, the kind of the normal regular press, but I just didn't hear any crypto commentators talking about it on YouTube or anything.
Very little. There was a couple, but nobody big. I mean, Decrypt Media did basically a hit piece, and then CoinDesk did a couple of pretty big hit pieces to basically try to rally the wagons. Like, here's all the reasons Craig lost, and it's like, that's a weird way to frame that. So, and then people literally mischaracterizing it. The conversion is technically theft, so he is a thief, and it's like, theft was one of the charges. Conversion is not theft. So, it's just one of those things where it's like, you can do your best to confuse people. You play word salad and try to spin the narrative, but it's funny, and I think it's really funny too that there were a couple of people. There was CoinDesk reporters, and there was a couple of serious small blocker Twitter accounts were there taking notes, and we would have lunch together and stuff.
The same people who attended my conference in Miami. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah. There's a guy calling me a weasel and a liar on Twitter, and Robin walks in and gives him a hug, and I'm like,
Rising with the enemy, that's called.
But it's funny because when we would hop out, it was like being in prison with somebody. It's like, we disagree, but ultimately it's like we get these 20-minute breaks in the middle of the day, and we just talk, and it's just normal people. To the point where I was even talking with the plaintiff's attorneys and stuff would come out and they'd be like, what do you think, man? And I'm like, yeah, we are not on the same team here. They're just like, yeah, but whatever. And so it was by the end of week 2 and into week 3, everyone was just like, who, what are you doing when this is over? So we all kind of I exchanged some, phone numbers with even some of the people on the plaintiff side, because we're all just we're stuck here. We all went through this crazy thing together. And then you realize we're competing against each other and all this stuff, but it's people are people, and maybe some of you guys are dirtbags and whatever else, but we all got brought here by just circumstance, and you start to see each other's humanity, and people are bringing their families and all this stuff, so even on both sides, it was the defense attorneys and stuff, they'd bring their spouses or their brothers and sisters, they would come see, because it's here's this gigantic case and my family members litigating it. And so there were fans. I met spouses and siblings and of people on both sides who all said, oh, Kurt, your live streams are making it that I'm able to see my husband. I haven't talked to my husband in weeks because he's doing this thing and he doesn't have time for me, and so I get to watch your streams and see how he did in court. And it's wow, yeah, it's crazy. It's being stuck in a weird game show or something.
The difference between Twitter and real life, isn't it? Is in real life, you have to stand face to face with somebody. You have to deal with them in an adult manner, and you're able to recognize someone's humanity, you know.
Well, and then they get right back to Twitter and they're like, Kurt seemed like a nice guy in person, but man, is he an idiot. And it's like,
okay. I'm sorry, I take it back.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, we're back.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it must be like that though for the lawyers themselves, who are like at each other in court, and then presumably outside of court are going and having drinks together afterwards, I would imagine.
You know, it was funny. Like two of the guys. So there was Vel Friedman was the main guy on the plaintiff side, and then one of the guys on the defense side is a dude named Zalman Cass, and Vel was just beating him up when he was litigating. He was just object, and Zalman couldn't get a word out, and it was like 2+ hours of this. Like he could not get a sentence out, so he has to let me rephrase, Your Honor, and he'd start to rephrase it. It's object, sustained. Okay, I need to rephrase it again. It was like it was brutal. It was super mean, you know. And then when it was over, like Vel calls Zalman over. He's like, "Hey, come here, man." Shook his hand and like, you know, pat him on the back, and you know, so they exchanged some kind of words about like, "Hey, here, you know, basically sorry" or something, you know. And then we go outside at the break. And I'm sitting here talking to Zalman Cass, and I was like, "Hey, man, what, like, was that, like, were you pushing the limit? Like, was he in the right, or what's going on there?" And he's like, "No, I mean, he was being this and that." But then Vel Friedman walks over, and he's like, "Hey, Kurt," and he just starts talking to me. So now it's the three of us all talking together. And he's like, "Hey, I watched your stream and this and that, and we're chatting." And then they both start chatting, like laughing with each other. And I'm like, "Man, you guys were just like beating the hell out of each other in that room, you know?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I remember him from," I think they said they met at the first day of doing the bar together and stuff. So they've known each other like locally. They're local attorneys, and they're about the same age, and they were fine.
But it's a game. They know it's a game.
Yeah.
And I don't mean a game as in not serious. It's very serious.
Right.
But it's
their job
too.
This
like is their trade, isn't it?
It is their job to argue with each other, but ultimately be professional. It's like, who knows? They might be teamed up on a case in a year too, because that's just how things work out. So it's weird. It's really hard to separate. It was for me specifically, because it's like, I really want to present like what's fair, you know, like if Craig had a genuinely bad day, that's what I got to report, you know? And it's like, but at the same time, I'm like, I like Craig, you know, I think of him as a colleague, like when we go out for drinks or whatever, you know, I feel, okay, now we're friends and that kind of thing. And it's like, you know, I'm going to go the next day and be like, well, Craig really, shot himself in the foot by talking about putting, Ira Kleiman putting fingers in his ass and stuff on, you know, that's like, you know, because Craig is just like shoots himself in the foot on the stand. And it's like, well, I got to report that. Like, that's what happened here. And so,
can I switch to talking about Craig just 1 minute? Because the thing that frustrates me most of all about this case is that we're talking about how much of a toll it took on you. But how much of a toll could it have taken on Craig? I just tried to think how much pressure he's been under. For like 3 years straight or whatever.
And it shows. Like it shows on his face. Like he's aged a lot. I feel like I've aged a lot as part of all this stuff too. And like, you know, he's the one with billions of dollars of pressure and you know, quite a bit more hate than I get. But it's interesting. I never really talked to him privately much. It's always been pretty, you know, cordial and businessy. But like I said, there were a few times we got to go out and have like a dinner or drinks and really sit and talk. And you know, it's funny because you can tell he's stressed out, but then you start to chit chat about whatever, and he's talking about video games and all this stuff. You know, it's like you break through it and you realize, like, you know what, this guy puts his pants on in the morning like the rest of us. And it's like, yeah, you know, maybe he's one of the richest men in the world, and maybe he created one of the most significant inventions of the last generation. But it's like, he's just a guy at the end of the day. Like, he tells stupid jokes, I tell stupid jokes back, we chuckle, we're, you know, like this. And it's like, he's just a human being, and we should expect him to be imperfect and all of these other things. And like, I don't know. People are really weird about like hero complexes. Like I've never been one to be like, oh my gosh, this person, like celebrities and all of that stuff. I just, I don't care at all.
Sign my chest again, we're going to fight.
Right.
Did you guys hear him say sign my chest on the podcast or the update? I was like, oh, come on, Kurt.
But it's like, but it's something about that culture, like celebrity culture. I never understood. I always just found it humorous. And so, you know, Craig's much the same way. And it's like, he's an important figure. Like, he's a historical figure. He'll go down in history books. People are going to talk about Craig in 100 years. But it's like, you know what? I know what it's like to have dinner with him, and it's a lot like having dinner with a lot of other people. You know, add in the computer science and the backstories and the fact that he orders like
he doesn't actually have an aura glow around him then. Like I'm imagining he does.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's
sparkle or something in the sunlight.
Oh, it's funny. But here's the funny part: is there were probably a dozen people that came through over the course of the court case who showed up with like a book or a white paper or something for him to sign. So it's like, you know, I'm talking to Craig and somebody walks up and these are, you know, adults. These are people in their 30s and 40s. And there's Craig, I'm so sorry. Can you sign this book? I'm a really big, you know, and they're trying to like, you know, explain to him how important he is to them and this or that. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, that's weird.
So Kurt, that's normal. Yeah. You're not normal.
I guess. Yeah.
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 And I did think while I was watching, I know that you took an effort to not be biased. Mm-hmm. And I was watching going, be biased, just be biased.
Well, and that's the thing. I state my bias. You know, I'm obviously rooting for Craig. I wanted Craig to win. But, you know, like I had a couple of people message me because I think the closing arguments, like I was very impressed with Val Friedman. I think he gave a basically flawless closing argument. I even had Andres Rivero the next day was like, hey, Kurt, you know what? Like, I think he got it wrong. I think he screwed up. I think mine was a lot better. And I was like, Andres, man, like, I want you to win, but I'm sorry. Val Friedman did a very good job in his closing argument. You know, he's like, you know, we'll see. I think I'm going to win it anyways. And he just kind of marches away.
Good for him because he knew. Yeah. He knew.
He did know.
He got the experience, isn't he?
Well, and the funny thing is, like his colleagues, like Amanda McGovern, came up to me right after and was like, "Oh man, I don't know. What do you think, Kurt?" And I was like, "I think you won it. Basically, like I don't think you had the best closing argument, but I think you won the case." And she's like, "Oh, really? Gosh, I don't know. I'm really nervous. I feel like we kind of, you know." And then it was like they win, and they're like, "Oh, okay. Oh, well, of course we did." You know,
right?
So it's crazy. It's crazy to watch the whole thing because there's so much on the line. But again, like at the end of the day, it's like they're all people. Like we were all staying at the same hotel, so it's the same thing. Like they've all got kids coming. Hey, mom. Hey, I'm gonna go out to the beach. You know, and they're like, hey, leave me alone. I need to go like do a media interview. And, oh, fine, whatever. You know, and so like just seeing the humanity of it, and then everyone's got to, you know, do their job and play their role. It's just a very weird
like a cartoon. The closing argument. It was that South Park. It does not make sense, and literally we're all snickering every 2 seconds because it was literally like being in the cartoon in South Park. It does not make sense.
Yeah, right. No,
that card at least like 30. It does not make sense.
Right. So and if it doesn't make sense, you vote with the dissonance.
The power of repetition. You know, and we know it.
It worked. It was
like
old school.
Every message we've been pounded with for the last 3 years.
And I think part of the reason why it was so effective too is that the jury was old. The average age on the jury, I mean, the oldest guy on the jury was probably 75 years old, and there were a couple of women that were clearly in their 60s, or like 4 or 5 women clearly in their 60s, and then there was like 2 ladies that seemed like they were probably in their early 30s, and then one younger gentleman who looked like maybe about 40 years old. But so the average age was probably mid to high 60s, which is, you know, Andres' generation. Andres Rivero is like 61 years old himself.
So it's his crowd.
It was his crowd very much. And Val Friedman's my age. He's 35. He's got, you know, really good command of the computers and like good graphics on screen. And so I'm impressed. I'm like, ooh, man, this is really good. You know? But
you were that so it sounds like it all went pretty well then. And, you know, when all's said and done, it went as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, at the end of the day, it went better than I think anybody was expecting it to. I think even the most optimistic people on our side were looking at it and being like, all right, what's it going to be now? This is feeling rough. And then, like it was a big win when it was finally announced. I think everybody was like, oh, wow, like this was the victory we needed here. So.
And do you think it's going to give him leverage in future cases? I mean, I think that's probably the thing that I'm most keen.
I think everything does. Because it's precedent. Like, in courts, nothing matters more than precedent in courts. Every single day, there would be an objection, and it would be, Your Honor, we need to have a sidebar, and then they would go sit and talk about case law. And you're like, well, if you look at this case, this is what this is how this was solved, and so there was a lot of citation of previous cases in order to make the case for even just how they were arguing a certain point. Like they'd object, and if it was sustained, they'd be like, Your Honor, can we reference this case where I'm allowed to say this and this about this situation? And so that was super impressive to me, like just being able to recall all of the relevant case law in these situations. But then, so I mean, going into like the COPA case and things, to go back and say, well, if we reference this case, like it was established that Craig did actually do this or didn't do that or whatever. And so I think it's very relevant. And I think we established a lot of new facts that are going to be very helpful with COPA and some of the other cases going forward. I also think it's relevant. I saw recently there was 24 plaintiffs on the COPA side initially, and it is down to 3. So 21 plaintiffs have left.
Wow.
And so there's 3 left who are like, yeah, we still want to fight with Craig. And that's a pretty interesting metric right there. Oh, hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Looking good, Craig.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Merry Christmas. Well done.
Hello, all.
Thank you for joining us, Craig. We really appreciate it. We just had to kick Rory out to let Craig in, I'm afraid. That was a bit of a nerve-wracking moment there when I thought he might go away and not come in again. No, it's lovely to see you, Craig. We really appreciate it, obviously.
Thank
And
you very
we've
much.
absolutely been rooting for you like crazy for the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks or however long it's been. I've lost track.
4 years.
4 years. What's your response to how the last few weeks have gone, and how are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot more relieved now than I was. I mean, very simply, it was extremely stressful. I have a lot more faith in the jury system than many people I know. I mean, I think juries do something that judges and others can't. Judges become jaded. They see the same sort of things in their opinion every day, and they judge based on what they believe the facts are. Now, this is why we need juries. Juries are people who are just normal, everyday individuals. It's what makes sort of a democratic society work. It's not the sort of elitist idea of how things should work and controlling everything else. It's common sense. And the foundation of an enlightened, rational society is exactly that. And it's how we have a system that, well, basically comes to the right decision most of the time. And no, it's not perfect, but the reality here is it doesn't need to be. But when you get 1 or 2 people, generally experts, university trained, etc., who believe that they know more than the rest of the world, the community, that's where we have problems. And that's what we're trying to create now. We're creating this system where we've isolated the bureaucracy from the control of the people, which is great for government officials. You can vote people in and it has no impact on the government anymore. It's wonderful for them. I mean, no matter what you do, the government stays the same.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely how it feels at the moment. It's quite alarmingly so at the moment, especially in the UK. I feel like we could change government and it make no difference at all. But I'm so pleased with how it went, and I think your faith in the justice system was justified in the end. I don't think a lot of us shared your faith in it, actually. I was worried.
Well, I've said many times I have a deep faith in the concept of democracy and of civil society this way. It's the concept of taking individuals without knowledge and allowing them to actually build sort of an idea together. And this is why, for instance, wisdom of crowds works. It's the difference between when you allow people to sit there and have their ideas outside of a tested environment where you get sort of the crazy results. But in, like, for instance, when you have people choosing the weight of cattle, that's where some of these things came. You get 100 people who have no idea what a cow should weigh, and they become very accurate in what they measure, more than any of the experts. Why? Because all the little bits of knowledge that we have exceeds everything else. That's why markets work, proper markets, not the things that everyone calls a manipulated sort of market at the moment, but a real market. And where you have each individual responsible, that actually comes back and has an effect.
Definitely. Well, thank goodness it went as well as it did. And how do you feel like it has it taken a toll on you? Do you feel that you're going to be recovering for a while? How do you? I mean, it's tremendous strain, presumably.
Oh, living in a hotel for all that time is a tremendous strain. But then I wasn't the only one doing that either. Even Kurt and everything like that, they're part-time, but some of the other crew with you were just living in there. So I don't know how they did it.
But they didn't have billions at stake, though.
No, but I mean, a lot of things sort of, I mean, all of the teams that work with me, in a way, do. I mean, they've got, their lives are tied into all this as well. A lot of other people's lives are. So it's not just myself. So yeah, it's a great outcome, but it's good to see all the support.
Good. Yes, I felt it very strongly, especially during the case when you seem to be the only person nobody ever has any sympathy for.
I know.
Annoys me greatly.
Yeah, the only one that everyone runs around calling a fraud too, when technically, I mean, it's most of the exchanges that are committing fraud, which we'll start taking action against in the new year. I mean, people like Coinbase really should be scared. I mean, the reality here is these guys are actively committing a fraud. They are actively out there taking my protocol and trying to say it's something else. I mean, sitting there going, oh, the community said. I didn't give it to the community. People don't seem to realize that what was meant to set up and what was meant to happen to keep my protocol the same, everyone made into a community. But the Bitcoin Foundation, for instance, predates my leaving. I don't think many people realize that, but that was something done with Gavin and others before I left, so that should have never been an issue. So unfortunately, there's a lot at stake for all of this. E-Gold fell apart and all those people piled in, and Liberty Reserve fell apart and all those people piled in around the same time as I was doing other things in my life. And so unfortunately, you blink for a minute and this is what happens.
Well, I feel like you are Bitcoin's rock, you know, and I feel like a lot of people are taking chisels and chiseling away at you. So I'm very grateful that you are as solid and as strong and as resolute as you are, because I don't think anything less would work, honestly.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you take some big hard rock and you keep chiseling it and you do it right, then you end up with something quite good. I mean, that old Michelangelo guy, he did a few of these, and if you go over and you go to Florence or Milan or particularly Florence, I mean, you'll see a few of these.
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, they're a bit ugly, but
yeah.
Oversized.
Very nice looking rock. So,
well, thank you.
Speaking of which, I've done some more NFTs this week. So you're going to be in yet another one of those and looking very handsome. Does anybody else have any questions for Craig? Seeing as we've got him here, our captive audience. No,
I got one for Becky. Where's the Smurf outfit?
Oh,
you're muted, Becky.
I was about to say, I was like, Craig's going to give me a hard time for something Smurf related. But one thing I actually would love to it's sort of it's a comment, not really a question, but Craig, I got a message from my nephew-in-law the other day. It was a screen grab of one of the articles that summarized the case, saying that you won, and it was a really good article. and he saw it on Yahoo News, and he was like, "Oh my God, is this true?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is." And he was like, "He's been to our restaurant. Like, he was at your wedding. Like, oh my God." So I think it's really amazing to see people finally realizing the incredible work and contribution you've made to the world here. They're finally starting to see it, and so that makes me super happy. So thank you for all the time. I mean, honestly, and Kurt, I mean, thank you for teaching me about law.
I mean, I was learning at the same time. I was just recalling what I saw.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah,
I mean, yeah, we'll sort out some of the other things in the new year, but I mean, we've got things like Coinbase to take action against them in passing off, and I mean, all the support they've been giving to the Bitcoin Core people. That's fraudulent misrepresentation, and potentially, if they want to fight it, I'll keep it going. And the end game for them is prison. So it's not like me. So they can settle, or they can see what American prisons are like. Or I mean, they're better than Club Fed's not too bad, but.
Well, I don't know whether my heart can take all of this litigation. I have to say, I found it took a bit of a toll on me even. So, you know, I don't envy you this. This is a huge task you're undertaking here, but we're very grateful that you do it. This is a heck of a thing to try and set right. It feels like untangling the Christmas lights on an epic universe-sized scale to me. But I'm glad somebody's got the heart for it. Well, let's change gears a little bit. Not so serious. How do you enjoy yourself at Christmas? What do you do to unwind?
Study.
Classic.
Could we all know the answer to that?
Yeah. Create something else.
So you literally
do that one
find
too.
it relaxing to study.
Yeah. Well, not everything I do is directly related to work. I mean, I've just done a presentation the other day as part of my sort of classics and ancient history studies, and that was looking at the Cichlid sort of empire, the one between like Syria and those areas around 200 BCE, and it's really not anything that relates to Bitcoin in any way. So, I mean. I did a paper earlier in the year on the spice and pepper trade between India and Rome in about the 2nd century AD. So, I mean, I've got lots of other hobbies. They might be nerdy and academic, but
very disparate, very eclectic.
Craig, are you an eggnog man?
Oh yeah.
Not really.
All right.
I love it. I can't get enough. I make myself a snowball about once every week.
I make my own. I can't do the commercial eggnog, but you make the eggnog from scratch, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm very unsophisticated, I would say.
Yep.
Craig, we have a question. Have you been able to see that animation that was made of you in the shed, like eating MasterCard with Bitcoin?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's so amazing. I was wondering what your reaction would be to that. It's so good.
No, I have no idea about the Maxwell trial at the moment either, so I haven't been following that.
Oh, you saw my question? Okay. I didn't know if I could ask, but yeah, on that, that's BTC, not Bitcoin. It definitely has some key people on there listed at who changed the protocol. So I was wondering if you had any insight on how those things are connected with who might have been funding the trial with IRA.
I have some ideas, but I mean, we have to wait and follow up on that one.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Thanks.
Can we show you the animation, Craig?
You can show me the animation, yes.
Is that all right? And I wondered as well, because I know you like Shakespeare. What do you think about the Christmas Carol? And have you any kind of plays or films that are your go-to Christmas kind of relax?
Not really. Although there are some terrible movies around Christmas that are quite funny at times. Although I don't think you'd ever rewatch them. Like Santa Slays was really bad and in a good way. That was it had Fran Drescher at the beginning getting killed by Santa. You can't. I mean, you can't beat having Fran Drescher being killed by Santa. I mean.
True.
I mean, her voice, that nasally Queen's accent, and
but it's good though. Yeah, love Fran Drescher.
Yeah, then Santa decapitating her. I mean, yeah, it was well worth it.
I have to look that up. I've never even heard of that one.
There's a number of these sort of things. I mean, there are quite a number of evil sort of horror Christmas things.
Okay.
So
there's also Bad Santa. Well, that's not horror, but it's quite good
fantastic
as well.
Movie. Yeah, fantastic movie. If it's all right, then can I share my screen to show everybody this beautiful animation of Craig in his shed? Is that all right? Okay, there we go. So, is it working?
Not yet.
Oh, now then. I have shared my screen. It just doesn't seem to be working.
I wonder whether there's too many of us on screen.
Again.
Diddy. I wonder whether we're.
There we go. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah. Oh no. There we go. Are we seeing it now? Can we see it? Sorry about the little lag. Yeah. So, this is a beautiful piece of animation, which I did promise the Charles, who actually asked for this to be done. It's his story. So here we go.
Make it full screen, Diddy.
Blocking protocol updates. Hard fork initiated.
I see.
It actually, I had seen that one. I didn't quite realize the description of it, but yes, it was. I thought it was quite.
definitely in the Slack at some point. And I love how they put, is it Windows 3.1 in it or something?
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously when you were inventing Bitcoin, you weren't quite that far back with the operating systems, but I did. I thought it was a nice touch.
No, not at that point. No. Anyway, thank you for everything, and I hope you have a great rest of the night. And I got to run off.
We're very grateful for you showing up. That's very, very sweet of you.
Not a problem.
And we're rooting for you. And have a wonderful Christmas. Thanks.
Have a good night, Craig.
All right. Catch you later.
Craig.
And very nice wings at the bottom there.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye. Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, how do we top that? Come on.
I don't know. But like, Diddy will keep us on track because she's like our production manager. So she's telling me like this. Come on, we've got to get to all the other things on our list. So let's keep going.
Well, actually, Becky, do you want to say anything? Do you want to give us a rundown of what you've been doing over the last year? And then I can pick some jokes out from the comments box because we've got a little competition going about who can give us the best Christmas jokes. So is that all right?
It is all right. Of course, you guys make me go after Craig.
Sorry.
It's all right. I guess the one thing I'll say, first of all, I guess about the trial is that interestingly enough, I was actually at a gambling industry event when the verdict was finally released into the world, and nobody there even knows what's going on. So I think while the trial is super important, and I'm not trying to downplay it at all I'm saying is that when we go out into the world and talk about how amazing blockchain technology is, especially BSV blockchain tech, these people don't even know about all the dramas going on behind the scenes. And it's really interesting because I think in our little world, it's like we think everyone's talking about it and taking chips out of Craig is the big rock. But a lot of people don't even know that's going on. I guess that's refreshing in a way. But I'll be super brief because I know we're running way over here. This year I think was really laying the groundwork for the gambling industry. And two major things happened this year to really help us push along the BSV ecosystem. One was the release of the Kenze platform. So there was actually a product to talk to the gambling industry about and how they can manage their data in a way that's just far superior to any other platform out there. Also, we have the introduction of BitBoss's cashless gaming solution, which uses stablecoin. And I think that's going to be huge for next year. And so now I'm actually able to point to specific solutions that exist today that gambling companies and professionals can start using.
Yeah.
So I think that's really exciting. And I think 2022 is I'm not just saying this because I'm on a BSV live stream, but I really do think we'll see a lot of movement in the gambling space next year. And it's really exciting. So all good stuff.
Brilliant. Thank you, Becky. What's next, Diddy? What's next?
Excellent. And well, what about Micah? Because she looks so beautiful in her red, sparkly, gorgeous dress and a beautiful backdrop. Yes. What do you want to give us a rundown of what you've been doing this year as well, Micah?
Well, the dress, it looks kind of like this dress like Britney Spears has, and hit me, baby, one more time. Isn't it? Like this nice look. Didn't think of it before. So, Becky already mentioned it with the gaming space. Within this year, I went to a lot of gaming conferences, events, and also next year is again a lot of events coming, even more and more around the world that I will attend. And I see these gaming operators, they want to build on or they want to use the blockchain technology, and they need highly scalable solutions with low fees and also reliable, not Solana, which say they can scale, but it's absolutely centralized and not reliable. Transactions don't come through, and so on and so on. So BSV is the solution to build on. to build these decentralized casinos. Someone has just had an echo in my ear. So for me, one of the highlights was actually the CoinGate conference in New York to meet Stuart Harbour and Scott Stornetta. And we were so happy that we could organize this. And by the way, just came into my mind, Brian Doherty gave me one present at the CoinGate conference New York. Let me see. Let me show it. Do you see it? My socks.
Red socks.
Christmas.
Yeah, they're red as well. Red socks.
CSW socks.
Reindeer also.
That's nice.
Reindeer socks. So, yeah. So that was also before the Coin conference. Scott Stornetta asked me to go to Slovenia to the Bitcoin monument and make a photo, which was also shown on stage at the Coin conference. So this was kind of an honor, and yeah, to meet so many wonderful people around the globe, and everybody sees the movement and the development are coming, and yeah, we are all pushing the movement forward.
Brilliant.
Like an army, warriors.
Yeah.
So Ruth, would you like to show everybody our Christmas card NFT collection? And then I can pick some jokes, and then we've got a beautiful video from Corpy. Is that all right? Marvelous.
Yes.
So Ruth has done a beautiful Christmas card collection of NFTs, which she's going to show you now, which should be available at the weekend.
Okay, let me make that a bit bigger. This is very reminiscent of the Halloween collection that I did. And I've been madly trying to ask people's permission that if I can include them in the cards. I'm not sure I've got quite all of them yet, but hopefully nobody gets mad with me. We've this time around, I've put the men and women together. It's just one big collection. And it's probably as silly as it was last time. We've got fairies and elves and Santas and Cinderella even. And what else have we got? Party goers, carol singers. I suppose I could go through them one by one. Would you want me to do that? I could show them one by one.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay, let me go to my Google Drive. It's probably the easiest place to go. Can you still see my screen? Yes. Okay, good. Yes. So this is Stephanie Tower.
So beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And I made her a little bit sort of roaring 20s-ish. So she was the most recent one I did. Oh, this is the one that I don't have all my permissions in yet. Hopefully they won't get cross. This is Shem, Dagan, Joel, and Luke as a barbershop quartet at the North Pole for some reason, as you do. We've got Rory, beautiful Rory here, as Mrs. Claus. She's a very sexy Mrs. Claus, it turns out, but that's to be expected.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Becky and Robin and Rory again here as carol singers, which is very wholesome and rather lovely, I think. We've got River here as a Candyland elf, again, a bit random, but you know, it seems to fit. I look at these pictures of people and I kind of, things come to me and I don't really know why, but I go with it generally. And we've got Ray here as a beautiful Christmas fairy, and I always think that Ray looks beautiful, has beautiful elfin features, so it really sort of suits her to be a fairy. So
yeah, true.
That one came very quickly and easily. Oh, and of course, Micah was an obvious angel, I have to say, with her beautiful blonde hair. And she looks quite like a sassy angel to me, so that fits as well. And we've got Lise here, and it comes up a Christmas fairy, and with her lucky, Chinese lucky red color, and she looks absolutely gorgeous. Sorry, I'm not lingering too long, but I'm aware of the time. We've got, are you still there, Kurt? Can you see yourself in this one? I don't know whether you can. We've got Kurt and Patrick here as the town criers.
Yes. It's wonderful. Thank you.
I'm not saying that Patrick shouts, but I'm kidding. No, he's got one of these voices that carries well. Let's put it like that. But he's they're both, very good at delivering the news. So we've got Corpy here as a woodland fairy, and she's so delicate and beautiful that just totally makes sense to me. And ethereal Corpy. And this one is in Greg as the station master. If you remember Polar Express, anybody, it's got that sort of a feel to it. And we've got a group one here of Jackson, Joshua, Ryan, George, Melissa, Winnie, Laura, and Diddy. I've got a whole crowd of people on this one, and they're all carol singers together. And then I'm not going to say this was because I was running out of time, but it was because I was running out of time. So we were trying to squeeze lots onto a single card at that point. We've got Eva here as a beautiful Snow Queen ballerina in a snow globe, looking gorgeous, as she always does. This one speaks for itself. It was actually the person I did, because I've had that picture of Craig in that red shirt for a long time, and I've always thought he looked like Santa in it. So that was obvious. And we've got Diddy here with her blue hair as Santa's elf. I just love this one. This is probably my favorite, actually. I think Diddy makes the best cards. I don't know why, but she does. Oh, this is just the kind of the card back, as it were. So that's not featuring anybody. And here we've got Chloe Tartan, who we interviewed earlier this year. So actually, it's just coming live, I think, this weekend, that interview. She's just absolutely beautiful and made me think of Cinderella as soon as I saw her. So that's what I did. Oh, this one's funny. This is me and Charles Miller going to a ball at Christmas. I don't know why everything for me is so nostalgic and oldie worldy, but that's where my head's at, obviously. My husband came up behind me when I was looking at this the other day and said, so is he propositioning you? Anyway, he made me laugh, but it was a bit rude. I think he was trying to suggest that I was a bit less than pure in that image. Anyway, we've got Casey here as the Moon Fairy, and I love this one. I just think this one's dreamy.
Yeah.
Casey looks so pretty. So always seems to have a crown on in the pictures I do of her. I don't know why. And then we've got Calvin as Caribbean Santa, obviously. I got a bit of stick off a few people for not putting him in his shorts or off the back of a jet ski or whatever. So maybe I should have worked on that a bit longer, but this is what we got. And then this one, 1,000 apologies to Brian and John for making them into elves, but somebody had to be an elf. And basically, I thought probably the people with the best sense of humor in the space and would take least offense was Brian and John. And I love you both dearly, and I'm sorry, but I still think you look pretty cool anyway, even though you're elves. And that's it. And they will be available within a couple of days on Relay X, if you're interested.
I was going to say the elves are the ones that wrap all the presents for Santa, so they have a very, very important job to do.
They do. They have a very important job to do. They are behind the scenes, extremely important.
Yeah, we also have a big announcement as well, because Ruth, our amazing artist, has been working very hard for Jackson and Duro Dogs, and we have a collection which is being launched as we speak for Duro Dogs, which is a Women of BSV collection called Fabulous. So have you got anything that you can share with us, Ruth, about the Women of BSV collection?
I do. This is really just a bit of a teaser, because you'll have to go to the game to see it properly. But I've made some, we're calling this collection Fabulous, obviously, because the Women of BSV are fabulous. And it's all a bit OTT. and very colourful and a bit of fun, just like the women of BSVR. Don't take it too seriously. And, I hope everybody enjoys collecting the various bits and bobs of costume that we've made. I had a lot of fun doing this, I have to tell you. I was 9 years old again, and I don't know, I mean, these days you probably do these things on an iPad, not with paper, but when I was a kid, you used to kind of get sort of these paper dolls and wrap costumes around them with little bits of paper. And I was back there again making that. So I had a terrific time doing this. So I hope you all enjoy buying fabulous bits and bobs for your Giro dog. Back to you, Diddy.
Excellent. Well, I've got some Christmas jokes here. There's not many of them, to be honest with you. But the first one is, let me see, can we see this? What do you call Santa when he takes a break? Anyone?
I don't know. No, I'm useless at this.
Okay. Santa pause. Yeah. So this is one of our jokes we've got here. Anybody else mention anything at all in the joke section?
I have a good joke. I tell this joke. I tell this joke to everybody when they're looking for a really dry, lame joke. So, what do you call the fear of Santa? Claustrophobia.
Oh,
yeah. Count on Kurt for a bad dad joke.
So I need to run. Ronan is up from his nap, and my wife deserves a break. So I should run.
Thank you so much for joining us. We kind of we've been trying to get you on.
Very much for joining us.
We finally got there. Thank you for everything.
Thanks so much. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
That was awesome.
So let's have a look. We've got another one here. What goes? Ho ho whoosh, ho ho whoosh. Santa going through a revolving door. Anybody? No.
These are bad. Did he? This seemed like a good idea at one point.
There we go. Because they're not tall enough to be pilots. Well, I think we've got a winner, to be honest, because there was only one person who actually contributed, which I can see who contributed to the joke section. So the winner of the joke section will actually be able to choose a Christmas NFT. So if you tweet women at BSV, and you'll be able to get a Christmas NFT. So it was XNA40.
Yeah, whichever one you like.
Yeah. So let me just show that joke again with your wonderful joke, which was, what do you call Santa when he takes a break? Santa pause. So there you go. So what about Rachel? Have you got anything that you can tell? Can you run down on what you've been doing this year quickly?
Sure. The biggest announcement we have for Rotor BSV is our exchange widget, which is from Fabrique. It's called Weave. And anyone can just exchange from any type of currency or certain currencies to BSV, which, it's another way to get BSV because it's a little bit hard to find in the United States. The other stuff we're working on are NFTs, which we're excited about. We just launched Castleborn a while back. And I'll put the link in here for the exchange. And then we're also working on another set of NFTs. Well, two or three NFTs. One's called Kip Mafia, and that's something Jay's working on but it's through Money Button. And the last one is called Molly Match that we're still working with. There's just a lot of stuff that we're going through.
It does sound like you've got a heck of a lot coming in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Right? That's very exciting. I'll be interested to see all these things, especially all the graphical stuff that you're doing.
Well, if you tune into our shows in January, then Molly Match is going to come on a show, and hopefully we'll have it all explained and be able to get some sneak previews and everything at some of the designs and some of the items that are in the game.
We'll have a lot of details with that.
Excellent. Casey, would you like to run down with what you've been doing this year?
Sure. I'm just putting the finishing touches on Brand on Chain Academy, which is a place that we can invite influencers, all of us here, women of BSV, whoever, and it will give them the step-by-step tutorials that they need to be able to monetize their content on the blockchain, no matter what they do, pretty much. There's all these amazing things being built on the MetaNet that they can use to start removing their energy from, legacy platforms and start to interact more on the blockchain or run both, whichever. And then also in that, we also offer a white glove onboarding service where we'll actually click by click help you set up all your wallets and platforms, teach you how to use them. So all you have to do is start adding your content, and pretty much you're off to the races in this new global economy. So just working on that offer, and then I know all of you are excited about working with clients that start to come in and are looking for that kind of help. We've kind of got the whole gamut covered here with our knowledge of the whole space to be able to help people that are looking for information as they learn about, how important this new internet that's being built is. So just excited to have all of you guys to co-create with, and all the support has been amazing, and I'm looking forward to 2022.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun here, aren't we?
Yeah, we really are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all just organically coming together, and
yeah, thank you for all the guests that have actually come on and had the women of BSV. We're really grateful.
Yes.
So is it Corpy's turn to show us her video? Did he yet?
Yeah,
Are we at that point yet?
Yeah, Corpy's got an amazing video, so we can actually close out with a video, if that's all right with everybody. If we give like a thank you and say goodbye to everybody, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everybody's hard work, and yeah, we can leave with the beautiful Corpy and her magical winter wonderland.
Thank you all for joining us, Lise and Robin and Becky and Micah and Corpy and Ray.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys, for having me. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Corpy? Is that going to come up?
Yeah. Doing it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. You ready to rumble? So waiting for them to leave first, and then
Oh.